The Advanced Galactic Academy prided itself on diversity. Students from 200 systems filled its gleaming halls, but none caused quite the stir that Mark did when he arrived. Mark was human, just human, from a planet officially designated as EH2187, but colloquially known throughout the galaxy as HellWorld. The name wasn't hyperbole. Earth had earned its reputation as one of the most dangerous habitable planets in charted space. When Mark transferred into advanced storytelling class during his third term, Professor Vrel made him introduce himself. The blue-skinned educator had taught for 60 years and believed introductions built community. But even he looked concerned when Mark mentioned his homeworld. Earth? Really? Professor Vrel's antenna twitched nervously. Well, that's fascinating. Please take your seat beside Tala. Tala, a tall Andorian with silver scales that shimmered under the classroom lights, scooted her chair slightly away as Mark sat down. Everyone had heard the stories about humans. Supposedly, they could survive injuries that would kill most species, could eat nearly anything, and thrived in conditions that would be considered torture for other sentients. Fascinating from a distance, terrifying up close. The first assignment came 2 days later. Share a true survival story from your cultural background. Each student would have 5 minutes to present. Tala described how her ancestor had survived 3 days in the gentle seas during a mild storm. The class applauded politely. Ren, a four-armed Proximan, explained how his grandfather had once gone without nutrient supplements for an entire day during a supply shortage. Several students gasped. Then came Mark's turn. My uncle was a deep-sea fisherman, he began casually. His boat capsized during a Category 5 hurricane. The water temperature was just above freezing. The classroom grew silent. Professor Vrel's skin darkened to a concerned indigo. He treaded water for 36 hours, Mark continued. During that time, he was circled by sharks. Those are large aquatic predators with multiple rows of teeth. He fought off 3 attacks using just his diving knife. A student in the back fainted. Professor Vrel hurriedly administered smelling salts. When rescue finally came, he had severe hypothermia, had lost 2 fingers to frostbite, and required 67 stitches from the shark bites. Mark paused, noticing the horrified expressions. But he was back at work within a month. It's actually not that unusual where I'm from. That evening, Mark found himself surrounded by curious classmates in the dining hall. Is it true humans drink poison for enjoyment? Asked Luke, a gaseous being who absorbed nutrients through specialized membranes. You mean alcohol? Yeah, it's technically toxic, but in small amounts it just makes us feel relaxed, Mark explained, not mentioning that what humans considered small amounts would kill most species in the room. And you intentionally eat capsaicin, the chemical defense compound? Tala had finally overcome her initial wariness. Sure, spicy food is delicious. Mark didn't add that some humans competed to consume the hottest peppers possible, just for fun. The next assignment was even more revealing. Share a common childhood experience. Mark described ordinary summers at his grandparents' farm, swimming in the lake, climbing trees, catching insects, and the time he broke his arm falling from a rope swing but finished the day before telling anyone because he was having too much fun. Professor Vrel had to call a brief recess after that story. By the 3rd week, Mark's classmates had developed a strange fascination with his stories. They'd gather around him during breaks, peppering him with questions about Earth. With each casual revelation, natural disasters, predators, diseases, the history of warfare, their mixture of horror and admiration grew. You're telling me children are taught to fight fires at age 10? Ren's 4 hands trembled as he took notes. Just basic fire safety, Mark clarified. Though I was a volunteer firefighter in high school. The final project required students to create a fictional survival scenario for their species. Most created gentle challenges, mild temperature variations, slight food rationing, brief isolation. When Mark's turn came, the classroom was packed. Even students from other classes had come to hear the HellWorld human speak. My scenario involves a human colony ship crash landing on an uninhabited planet, he began. The survivors must establish agriculture, create infrastructure, develop medicine from local plants, protect themselves from the apex predators, survive extreme seasonal changes, and form a functioning society, all while dealing with interpersonal conflicts and limited resources. As he detailed the scenario, which to him seemed like a fairly standard colonization challenge, the audience stared in transfixed horror and admiration. The point isn't just survival, Mark concluded, but creating something better than what came before. That's the human way. After class, Professor Vrel pulled Mark aside. "I've taught students from across the galaxy," he said quietly, "but never have I encountered a species that seems to thrive on adversity as yours does. Your classmates see impossibilities in your stories. You see Tuesday." Mark shrugged. "Earth shaped us. We adapted." That evening, Mark found a message on his compad. The Academy was establishing a new course, Human Resilience Studies. Professor Vrel wanted him as a teaching assistant. As Mark walked across campus, he noticed students watching him with new eyes, not fear, but something closer to respect. He'd never considered his ordinary human experiences extraordinary until, seeing them reflected in alien eyes, perhaps being from HellWorld wasn't so bad after all.